member of some religious social club. I'm here tonight to sing one sinner home. I wanna be a soul winner, reach just one more sinner. I refuse to go to heaven all alone. I am not a member of some religious social club. I'm here tonight to sing one sinner home. I'm here tonight to sing one sinner home.
Did your world fall apart? Do you have a shattered heart? Has that demolition ball been crushing bricks? Did life hit your heart? Have you been thrown out in the yard? Remember, there ain't nothing broke that God can't fix. He's your banker when you're busted. He's your peace when you're disgusted. He's your healer when your body's tired and sick. He's your only true salvation. He's the God of restoration. Well, there ain't nothing broke that God can't fix. Old Job sat down and out, but in ashes, not in doubt, as Satan reached into his bag of tricks. He lost it all but trust, but got up richer than he was. He knew there ain't nothing broke that God can't fix. He's your banker when you're busted. He's your peace when you're disgusted. He's your healer when your body's tired and sick. He's your only true salvation. He's the God of restoration. Well, there ain't nothing broke that God can't fix. He's the hand that holds it, the hand that will remold it. He's the glue that holds it all together. Better, so much better, better than ever.
He's your banker when you're busted. He's your peace when you're disgusted. Your healer when your body's tired and sick. He's your only true salvation. He's the God of restoration.
Oh no, there ain't nothing broke that God can't fix.
There ain't nothing broke that God can't fix.
I had no peace, no joy within. I was so lost, blinded by sin. I'd gone astray, trying to do things my own way. That's when I heard Jesus speak to my heart. He said, I can give you a brand new start. Trust and believe, reach out and receive. I'll make a new man out of you. I'm a new man singing a new song, walking down a new road. The sun is shining brighter, my way is much lighter. Jesus lifted my load. I'm not the one I used to be. Heaven's my home and I'm happy and free. I'm a new man singing a new song, walking down a new road. Whoa, walking down a new road. You keep thinking you're too far gone, past the point of return, left all alone. There is no way God could forgive someone like you. You're running from His love with no hiding place, but you can't outrun God's mercy and grace. Surrender to Him. sun is shining brighter, my way is much lighter. Jesus lifted my load. I'm not the one I used to be. Heaven's my home and I'm happy and free. I'm a new man singing a new song, walking down a new road. Whoa, walking down a new road. I'm a new man singing a new song, singing a new song. I'm a new man walking down a new road. I'm a new man singing a new song, walking down.
This is WHBN Harrodsburg, your community voice since 1955. The Rooster, WHBN Harrodsburg, AM 1420 and on FM at 99.5.
Coming up this week on Kentucky Focus, fall sports will be ramping up around the Commonwealth, and parents all around the state will be heading to their favorite sporting goods store to buy some not so cheap athletic gear. Well, one thing that can go a long way in preventing injuries for your kids, well, that's the subject of our conversation. That coming up. Plus, it was Major League Baseball's All-Star break. Several local college players also were drafted by Major League Baseball over the week. And lo and behold, the Commonwealth of Kentucky is home to one of baseball's most iconic treasures. We'll talk about the history of baseball in and around the Commonwealth as we take a field trip. I'm Scott Fitzgerald. That's all coming up this week on Kentucky Focus.
Welcome to Kentucky Focus on the Kentucky News Network, the show that looks at issues affecting the Commonwealth and its citizens. We cover state politics and history, human interest stories, sports, and even entertainment. It's Kentucky Focus on KNN.
Well, according to the American Dental Assistants Association, some 15 million Americans experience some type of sports-related dental injury each year. As school gets ready to get back into session and fall sports ramp up practice, parents and athletes again will be making their annual pilgrimage to their favorite sports store for their shoulder pads, helmets, and shin guards. And typically the last item to go, that would be the mouth guard. Dr. Pat Carroll with Exceptional Dentistry here in Kentucky joins us to talk about why your teeth are just as important as the rest of your body. Doc Carroll has served as the team dentist for the Louisville Bats, the Bellarmine Knights, the Louisville Panthers hockey team, and you can find more information at KentuckyAnaDental.com. Doc, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, great, Scott. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Outstanding. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're well versed in this, and one of the things, Doc, we don't pay enough attention to when it comes to our bodies in the fall sports season, that are our teeth. So tell me a little bit about what are the top injuries you've seen or you will see when it comes to your teeth in sports?
And starting, Scott, the thing I'd like to point out is I've been in dentistry now about 40 years, and I've been, as you said, the team dentist for many teams, hockey teams, basketball teams, soccer teams. And the one thing I want people to hear right now, listen to this. In those 40 years, I have never treated a dental injury on anyone that is wearing a mouth guard. So if you take nothing away from this, is 40 years, all these teams, if you wear the mouth guard, I've never treated a dental injury. Now, other people that weren't wearing mouth guards, lots of dental injuries. The thing with mouth guards is you were talking in the opening about, you're going to the store to get your helmet, get your whatever. The mouth guards should be, in my opinion, and most dental opinions, should be part of the equipment, just like the helmet, the shoulder pads. And we hear a lot of excuses of why people don't wear them. People say, well, they're not comfortable, or I can't breathe. Well, the first thing I want to let people know is there is no oxygen pass through teeth. I promise. A mouth guard is not keeping you from breathing. And if you think about how many of us walk around with a helmet on our head? None of us.
Right.
So, yeah, it's inconvenient to put the helmet on to play hockey or football, but you get used to it. Same way with the mouthpiece. The statistics and looking at the research, you're 60, that's 60 times more likely to have an oral injury without a mouth guard than if you're wearing the mouth guard. The Academy of General Dentistry estimates mouth guards prevent more than 2,000 oral injuries a year. If you think about it, mouth guard protects you from a lot of things. It protects you from chipped teeth. It protects you from knocking a tooth out. If you knock a tooth out, and I've seen these, the tooth isn't all by itself. It sits in bone. So if you get a traumatic injury that knocks your tooth out, chance you're going to break some bone. And mouth guard helps prevent alveolar fractures. It, to some extent, helps prevent concussions. Now, it's not going to prevent a concussion if you get knocked down and you slam your head, hit your head on the turf, or hit your head on the boards at the hockey rink. But if you take a blow to the chin, which knocks the mandible, if you think about the lower jawbone, back up into the skull, that's another way people get concussions. Well, if you have a mouth guard in between there, you stop those two bony pieces from hitting, so you can prevent concussion from those kind of things. And then one thing that people talk about, and you and I are talking about youth sports right now. Having treated Bellman and hockey people, I've treated a Vol's teeth, which is the tooth getting knocked out. Yes, we can fix that as a dentist. But if you get a tooth knocked out, a couple things you need to think about is it's not going to be cheap to replace it. So these days, the best way to do it is with an implant, which is where we actually put something into your bone and we put a tooth on it. However, youth sports like your son, if he was playing and he got a tooth knocked out, we can't do an implant in a 16 or an 18-year-old kid because they've got 3 or 4 more years, 5 more years of growing to do. When that bone in your face grows, the implant may not come along with it. So we have to wait boys till they're about 21, 22, girls 20 because they mature quickly, both mentally and physically. As you guys know, I have
Right.
3 sons. So if you get a tooth knocked out in this time frame, you're going to have to wear something removable for 4 or 5 years. That's an inconvenience. It's never quite as aesthetic. And so those are things that kids don't think about that they really should.
Again, Dr. Pat Carroll with Exceptional Dentistry here in Kentucky. And for more information, just visit KentuckyAndAdental.com. Doc, what about if I have braces? Can I wear a mouth guard if I have braces?
Yes, you can. And actually, you really should. You know, you take a blow in football, lacrosse, hockey, field hockey, whatever, and you don't really hit your teeth, but, you know, you send that lower lip through your front teeth and you get this real soft tissue just macerated your lip. Well, if you wear a mouth guard over that, you know, you're not going to send your teeth through your lip. Same thing with braces. You've got lots of little sharp wires and stuff. You take a blow, you got a lot of soft tissue trauma. There used to be the types of mouth guards, you know, a lot of us, you know, you go to Dick's and you buy the one that kind of stick in, or you go to Dick's or whatever the sporting goods store is and buy the boil and bite. And those all work pretty well. The American Dental Association actually has given their seal of approval to a thing called Game On Mouth Guard. You know, instead of boiling, you actually kind of microwave it and it forms really easily to the teeth. It's a really good one. And then you can get a little more fancy, go to your dentist, have them make impressions or scan your teeth and have a custom made one. And that's what I used to do for a lot of the professional athletes and some of the college athletes. But quite honestly, most of the college athletes that I work with now have gone to something like the Game On Mouth Guard, and they seem to work really fine. My thing is, it's kind of like anything. We want to make it easy to get them. So the easier it is to get them, the better they're going to wear. So if you can go and find a Game On Mouth Guard or even the boil and bites, those will serve a good function.
Dr. Pat Carroll with Exceptional Dentistry talking with us. KentuckyAndAdental.com is the website if you want more information. Okay, Doc, so I've convinced my kid to wear one now. Got him fitted. Looks great. How important, one, is it to clean, and how do I clean out a mouth guard?
What I always tell people, honestly, is the best thing is either just some like hand soap, the antibacterial dial soap you have in your bathroom. Just get a toothbrush that you don't use, brush it real well with that. And if you want to rinse it with some Listerine or something, make it taste better. But yes, you do want to clean them because they do get nasty. I mean, I played football in high school, and you know, I remember what my mouthpiece looked like by the end of the summer. One thing, Steph Curry, arguably one of the best basketball players ever. Guy wears a mouthpiece, has worn a mouth guard forever. Now, people say the dude never has it in his mouth. If you watch Steph on TV, you know, he's always got it sticking. But you watch it. The only time he has it sticking out is when he's like shooting a free throw or he's walked by. When he's actually doing something, the mouth guard is in there. So, you know, I've had coaches say, I don't like them because the kids are always playing with. Like, dude, as long as they keep them in their mouth during the action, we're okay. Because people think, well, basketball. If you're 6 foot, you're never 6'6", the elbow's right at your chiclet level, you know? Take an elbow, revolve. So we've done many implants for some college athletes. Baseball, people think, baseball. You know, what am I worried about in baseball? There have been second basemen and shortstops, people that played for the Bats and went to the majors and stuff. Somebody comes in sliding spikes high on second base, hit you in the mouth. So, yeah, I mean, people think, do I really need to wear one in baseball? Yeah, I really think you should. In soccer, we really don't make them wear them. As you know, I've refereed high school and competitive soccer for about 25 years. And 2 instances where I left a game and brought a kid back to the office because 2 guys are going up the top of the box for a header, and one of them shorter and in the chin. I remember one time and everybody stops, and you could just see the tooth just flying through the air. You know, we stop the game, we find the tooth. I said, guys, we're going from a 3-man to a 2-man here. Bring them back to the office and reimplant it. Those kind of things can be done. It's just that, you know, if you wear the mouth guard, we don't have to do that. You know, that's the thing. You know, it's like anything. People say, I can't get used to it. Like, man, when I was growing up, we never wear a seatbelt. I can't get in the car now without putting my seatbelt on. So it's like you get used to wearing that mouth guard. You will wear it.
Dr. Pat Carroll's joining us now with, of course, Exceptional Dentistry, KentuckyAnnaDental.com. If you have more questions for Doc Carroll. And what about singular sports, Doc, like cycling, skiing?
Definitely. And here's something that I think would be interesting on those same lines. There's been some articles in the dental journals lately, something that I didn't see around 4 or 5 years ago. Now we're seeing more facial and tooth trauma from. And it's like, well, what could that be? Bird scooters. The scooters, everybody uses to get around.
Yeah.
They're having wrecks. People are falling, facial trauma. So anytime you've got that risk, it's not a bad idea. It's like, what's the old commercial? Pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah.
If you come to the dentist place, it's going to cost you time, money. I think I'm really good at what I do, but I'm not as good as the guy that gave you your original equipment, guy, gal, whatever you think. It's going to be good, but it's not going to be that good. So, that's why preserve, prevent. That's the mantra.
Dr. Pat Carroll joining us again with Exceptional Dentistry. KentuckyAnnaDental.com is where you want to go if you have any questions for Doc. Whatever, he's my dentist, he's Tony Cruz's dentist. He's put my mouth back together. He makes it fun to go to the dentist again for sure, Doc. Switching gears, families will now begin adjusting to sleep schedules to accommodate the school year. How important is it to making oral health care a part of maybe that new sleep routine, and how young should folks start with their kids?
The American Pediatric Dental Association will tell you when you've got a baby that's 1.5, you should start with the little gauze and wiping their gums down and those kind of things. And all of us know during preschool. But like you said, when you get started getting school and practices, and a couple of things you need to think about. First thing, eating schedules get a little different. And so I had school and I went and grabbed a Hershey bar or whatever, give me some energy, or an energy drink. The one thing, guys, sports, I forgot to think about this since we're talking about this. Gatorade, all this stuff, full of sugar. It's good for you, but if you're chugging down the Gatorade, you got to brush your teeth. That's really important. Snacks, things like that change. Oral care becomes really important because of not just the schedule change, but the eating change. If you can just give me twice a day, give me 2 minutes twice a day, that's the important thing. Now, if you said, Doc, my kid is tough, the most important time to brush, if he's going to only pick one, is before bed, because that's when you sleep at night, the kid's mouth dries out, usually all the stuff, the sugar they ate all during the day, it just sits there, percolates, causes the decay. So if you need to get that off before you go to bed, what I always tell people is, you brush at night for yourself. You brush in the morning for your friends, because, you don't.
Terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. Terms and conditions apply. Visit ISSA online for details.
Rachel, you look amazing. What have you been up to?
Thanks, Megan. I finally left the 9-to-5 grind and got certified as a yoga instructor by the ISSA Yoga and Wellness Academy.
Wait, you're a yoga instructor now?
Yes, and I love it. I've turned my passion for health and wellness into a business. It feels so good helping people improve their lives, and I basically get paid to look and feel great.
That's amazing. Was it hard to get certified?
No, the ISSA Yoga and Wellness Academy makes it super easy. You can get certified in as little as 5 weeks at your own pace and 100% online. Once you're certified, you do what you want. Start your own business, work at a studio, or just do it as a side hustle. Yoga instructors can make over $72,000 a year.
Incredible. How do I get started?
Just send them a text. It's free.
Text GREAT to 200-300 to get started today and be certified with the ISSA Yoga and Wellness Academy in as little as 5 weeks. Just text GREAT to 200-300 right now to get started for free. Text the word GREAT to 200-300. Text GREAT to 200-300.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back just for buying the gas I was going to buy anyway.
But is it a hassle to use?
No, it's super fast and easy, and I can cash out.
Maybe at that time we do something that's called phase 1 orthodontia, which general dentists really don't get into much. It's mostly the orthodontist. We're trying to do something to expand the arch, to give them enough room before they get into that growth spurt, before they hit puberty, so that the bones aren't solid and we can create enough room to get the teeth in, so that the old days when you and I were growing up, oh, there's not enough room, let's pull a permanent tooth and then, we'll get enough. But what we know that that's not good. So what we do at this real young age is try to be sure that there's enough room to get everything in proper arch development, proper face development. And then everything's going to have room to come in. It's just not going to be good. Well, then, kids usually 12, 14, 15, that's when they'll start getting into the traditional braces just to kind of straighten everything up. So, but there is something to be looked at from the time they're 4. You know, if you know it's your kid, snoring, breathing, those are real important things to that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you one quick funny story. When I was working with the AHL team here for the Panthers, one of the guys had a permanent bridge. He'd been in the NHL, and it had got knocked out, so we made him a nice temporary bridge. So he's out there skating, and I was actually sitting behind the glass behind the goalie at the time. The guy gets pinned against the glass, and he sees him there, and he just smiles big, and the temporary bridge is gone. Like, oh, crap, you know, oh, shoot, what's going on here? So then he goes skating down, and I'm sitting behind the goalie, and all of a sudden, you know, he's looking around. So all of a sudden, I see the goalie because the actor's on the other end. He kind of skates out a few feet, picks something up, skates back to me, holds it as the guy's temporary bridge, flips it over the glass. So in between, I'm re-cementing the temporary bridge in there. I thought that was pretty good. I think that might have been. And then the other thing when we're doing hockey, just to get for people who don't wear mouthpiece, I would sit with the physicians for the hockey team. Guy goes down on the ice, you know, he's laying down. Well, if he gets up and they just kind of skate him off, then I'd look at the doc and say, Doc, that's for you. If he got up and they started looking on the ice, that was for me because they're looking for teeth. So, you know, those are things. And I pick them up and put them back in. So wear the mouth guard so we don't have to do that. Okay?
Doc, you are the absolute best, my friend. You did miracles on my mouth. That got me over my fear of dentists, which ultimately cost me a lot in the long run. But unfortunately, you've been able to salvage most of my mouth. Thank you so much. And always great to catch up with you, Doc. And we appreciate all your time. And if folks, again, want to see you over at Exceptional Dentistry, KentuckyAnnaDental.com is the website, and folks can reach out to you. You guys do fantastic work. Thank you, Doc.
Well, thank you, guys. Good to talk to you.
Coming up, baseball in Kentucky. It has a long and rich history. It also is home to one of the most iconic baseball items you'll ever imagine. We'll talk about that and more coming up next.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
2 down. Here's a 2-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Kimbrell closes it out, and the National League wins it. Elias Diaz with the home run to give the NL the lead, and the National League coming into Seattle and winning the All-Star game for the first time since 2012.
Earlier this week, Major League Baseball's National League ended a 9-game losing streak with a dramatic 3-2 win over the American League in the 93rd edition of MLB's Midsummer Classic. That would be the All-Star game. Baseball has a rich tradition in our areas. We witnessed numerous players from the Commonwealth go in the MLB draft. But just how deep is America's pastime in our state? For answers to this and more, we're on a field trip down at the Louisville Slugger Museum down on Main Street in downtown Louisville, where we're catching up with Nick Fuchs, marketing manager with the iconic baseball brand. Standing in front of what they call the Bat Vault here at the Slugger Museum, Nick Fuchs is joining us. And Nick, first of all, thanks for taking time to talk to us. Tell me a little bit about the Bat Vault here.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Happy to share some of our history with you. So the Bat Vault is this room here that has over 3,000 original bat models in it. When we used to make bats by hand, the way that our master craftsmen would do it, they would get their order for whoever the player is. They would come in here, and then they would take one of these models down, and then they would put it in front of their lathe and kind of use it to measure their progress as they were carving the bat. These are all different models that players have created. There's over 3,000 in here. Players like Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Roberto Clemente, Ken Griffey Jr., they've all got models in this bat ball.
Is that what they did in the old days? They'd come down here and actually get their own bats?
So Ted Williams was actually the one that came down here a lot. He would like to come and actually pick out the wood that we used to make his bat. I'm sure Babe was here a couple times as well. They didn't all always come down here. There was a lot of correspondence through, mail and stuff like that. But yeah, Ted Williams was the one, probably the most famous player that visited quite often.
We're down here talking with Nick Fuchs at the Louisville Slugger Museum, talking about the history of baseball in Kentucky. And Nick, how did Hillerich and Raspberry become involved with baseball, and how did Louisville get to be sort of the epicenter of the bat world?
So we were located in Louisville before we ever even started making bats. We were a wood shop called J.F. Hillerich & Sons. We just made typical wood products of the age. This was mid-1800s, so we were making, bedposts, butter churns, porch railings, stuff like that. And then it was 1884 when J. Frederick's son, Bud, who was an apprentice woodworker with him at the time, he was 18 years old. He was a big baseball fan, and we had a team in Louisville called the Louisville Eclipse. Bud went to a game one day. They had a star player named Pete Browning, who at the time was in a little bit of a slump. Bud, being a woodworker and a fan of baseball, liked making bats. So they connected, and Pete Browning came with Bud back to the wood shop. Bud turned him out a couple bats, and then Pete turned his season around, used them the rest of the way, and that's how we got started making baseball bats. And, Pete's nickname was the Louisville Slugger because he was a power hitter for the Louisville baseball team, so that's kind of where we got our name from, and the rest is history.
You guys get very busy, not only at the start of the year, but then you'll get busy again in the fall. Tell us what your bat production is like throughout the season here.
Yeah, so we're always making bats. We've got tons of orders that always come in. Players typically order 100 bats a season, so we make about 2 million bats a year. So, now as we're kind of shifting in here into the second half of the season, we're still making bats for players. A lot of them already have had their orders, obviously for the first half of the season, but we're making them for them. We're making them for minor league players. The MLB draft just took place, so now there's a whole bunch of new players that are coming in that need wood bats. There's always something, going on here. And then we've got retail bats as well that we make, souvenir bats. We're always trimming them out.
So how does that work? We just had the MLB draft, a lot of local players going in the draft. How does that work now? Does a player sign a contract, and then once he decides, okay, I want to use Louisville Slugger, do they reach out to you?
So it kind of depends on the player. Some players know right away that they want to swing a Louisville Slugger bat, but there are other brands out there too. So players might take their time and shop around a little bit. And once they find one that they like, if they want to sign a contract, great. If not, they don't have to. We still make bats for players that don't have contracts with us. The main difference that you'll see on the bat itself is players that have a contract with us will get their signature on the bat. If they don't have a contract with us, it'll just be block lettering. Their name will just be in block lettering on the end of the bat. We have a dedicated team that is in contact with all these players, and we'll have players reach out to us that just want to try our bats, and we'll have players that want to try and design their own models, so we work with them on that. There's various ways that we get that.
We're down here at the Louisville Slugger Museum with Nick Fuchs, talking all things the history of baseball in Kentucky. And standing in front of us, Nick, is a pretty popular item, a pretty heavy bat for a well-known baseball player. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is one of our premier artifacts here. This is a Babe Ruth bat that he used in 1927, and for baseball history fans out there, they might recognize 1927 as the year that Babe Ruth set the home run record for most home runs in a single season. And so this bat that we have here is the bat that he used for the first 21 home runs of the 60 that he ended up hitting that year. And it's called the notch bat because if you look at the center brand there, you'll notice that there are little marks above the Louisville Slugger logo. It's because after every home run that he hit, he carved a little notch in the bat to keep track. And eventually when it broke, he sent it back to us and he said, hey, I'm doing pretty well with this season so far, so make me more. And we did, and he set that record, 60 home runs that stood for a while until it was broken.
Have they put a value on that bat at all? Or is it priceless?
It's priceless to us.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the artifacts that we just love sharing with guests. I mean, it's really is such a rich piece of baseball history.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
All right, we're working our way through the Louisville Slugger Museum, talking the history of baseball, not only just in Louisville, but in Kentucky in general. Nick Fuchs joins us with the Slugger Museum, walking us through so much to look at here, so much to see. If you ever come down to Main Street in Louisville, this is the place to be, that's for sure. What do we have here, Nick?
So this is another one of our new permanent exhibits called the Best Black Baseball Team You've Never Heard Of. Back in around 2018, I think we got some photographs that appeared to depict players on Louisville's old Negro Leagues team, the Louisville White Sox. Upon further investigation by our curator, Bailey Mazik, she didn't really feel like that story made a lot of sense. So she dug a little bit deeper and actually found that these were from a pre-Negro Leagues team called the Louisville Unions, who were only playing for just like a year or two. It was a team that had kind of been lost to history, but we got these photographs and just through some digging, we found some old newspaper articles and some stats from some of their games. So we just felt like this was an important story to share, kind of a pioneer of baseball in Louisville that was kind of forgotten about.
We're down here with Nick Fuchs down at the Slugger Museum. Very busy time this time of year for sure. Nick, do you get a lot of people that have baseball artifacts pertinent to here in Louisville and Kentucky that sort of reach out to you and say, hey, by the way, we have this?
Yeah, we do get quite a few messages. People having old bats or whatever that they want to know what the value of is. We work with a company called Hunt Auctions based out of Pennsylvania. We have an annual auction with them here every year. So they are kind of our main partners that we use to help identify some of that information. But yeah, there are definitely people that love bringing their artifacts back.
Do you get a lot of former family members that like to come down and see some maybe their old family members that play ball?
Yeah, we get that. We get that pretty often as well. Yeah. We've got the signature wall out front. There are so many people that just come in and spend a lot of time just trying to find their family member or maybe like an old family friend that they know played. It's got all the signatures of all the players that have ever had a contract with us.
Nice.
Russell pitches. Williams swings. There's a high drive going deep. It is a home run against the tip top of the right field stand. A tremendous home run that brought in 3 runs and turned what looked to be a National League whip into an American League 7-5 win.
Nick Fuchs is taking us around here at the Louisville Slugger Museum as we continue to talk the history of baseball in Kentucky on this All-Star weekend, and so much going on with the MLB draft and so many local players being taken in the MLB draft. And one player that got drafted, and he's come through Louisville quite a bit. We're standing in front of his exhibit. That would be Ted Williams. Tell us, Nick, a little bit about Ted's stay here in Louisville.
One of the greatest hitters of all time. I mean, you just look at some of his stats. 521 home runs, 344 batting average. He was the last player to hit over 400 for a full season. People are keeping an eye on Luis Ariz this year because he's kind of approaching that mark, but Ted was the last player to do it over a full season. We had a great relationship with Ted. He would come to the factory quite often. He was just so fascinated with the process of making bats. He would come and he would pick out the wood that we would use for his bats. He designed, I don't even know how many bat models that are in our bat ball. There's a story that I always love sharing about Ted that just goes to show how particular he was and how much he knew about bats. There was a time that we sent him a bat that he had ordered, and he sent it back to us and said that the handle was too thin. Our CEO at the time, who was one of the Hillericks, took that bat, and then they made another bat, and he took it up and met with him actually in a hotel and gave him to Ted, and he said, Ted, I want you to take these bats, and I want you to tell me what the difference is. And so Ted took both of them, and he picked them up, and he felt them, and he said, this one is a tenth of an inch thicker on the handle. So he was able to tell.
He was able to tell.
Yeah, he was able to tell just that. He could tell even just how thin.
In this day and age when we have so many, precise instruments, I've seen the lathes you all use. You get that down to a science in there, and he's able to pick it up and go, hey, this is a tenth of an inch off.
Yeah, he was able to just tell by feel, whereas most people that would pick that bat up, they would think there was absolutely no difference at all.
Do you ever get any major leaguers, current major leaguers, that like to come through here every now and then?
Every now and then. None of them do with the regularity that Ted did, but we do have some major leaguers that come through every now and then. Cal Ripken Jr. was just here a couple years ago. Every year we have a Living Legend Award where we give an award to a former player. So this past November we gave it to Jim Thome. So he was here for that. The year before that it was Derek Jeter. We've given that award to King Griffey Jr., Andre Dawson, Hank Aaron, Dave Winfield, guys like that. But yeah, every now and then we will get former players or former managers or just people like that just want to come through and go through the tour and everything.
That's going to wrap it up for us for this week on Kentucky Focus. Big thank you to Dr. Pat Carroll with Exceptional Dentistry here in Kentucky. And for more information or if you have questions about your teeth and sports, just log on to KentuckyAndDental.com. And thank you to Nick Fuchs with Hillerich and Bradbury or the Louisville Slugger Museum for talking all things, of course, baseball in Kentucky. And most importantly, thank you, the listener, for taking time to join us for another weekly edition of Kentucky Focus. And again, if there's anything you hear and you'd like to offer some feedback, feedback on what you hear, feel free to shoot me an email. It's very simple. Scott Fitzgerald at iHeartMedia.com. Scott Fitzgerald at iHeartMedia.com. For all of us here at the Kentucky News Network and Kentucky Focus, make it a great week. We'll talk to you next week. I'm Scott Fitzgerald.
Kentucky Focus on the Kentucky News Network, the show that looks at issues affecting the Commonwealth and its citizens. We cover state politics and history, human interest stories, sports, and even entertainment. It's Kentucky Focus on KNN.
Don't let biased algorithms or degree screens or exclusive professional networks or stereotypes. Don't let anything keep you from discovering the half of the workforce who are stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the stars beyond it. Find out how you can make stars part of your talent strategy at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Good morning and welcome to Ellers Memorial Baptist Church. Our times of service are Sunday school,
9:30,
morning service,
10:30,
evening service,
6 p.m.,
and Wednesday night Bible study at 7 p.m. Come join us now with Brother Bowden with services in progress.
I'm getting ready for a new day dawning. I'm getting ready for a brand new morning. Packing my bags for a heavenly journey. I can't wait to be there. No, I can't wait to be there. I'm getting ready for a new day dawning.